We're here today to talk about real estate.
Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name is Sarah Steinmetz.
Brian Schuby.
Carrie Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 34, which, if my math is right, is the day after Mother's Day. Isn't that what we figured? So happy Mother's Day, or yesterday, Mother's Day, all the moms out there. We've got a few things we want to get into. Shuby's got a bunch of difference between FHA, USDA, and VA loan types. Very sexy topic there. So a lot of good stuff to cover. But it is very relevant to everything real estate. Most people buying a house are using some type of loan, and a lot of times it's one of these. So maybe some misconceptions with that. Carrie, what do you have here? So you had some Mother's Day topics here then too. And I saw a couple of cool ads. I must have just searched the wrong thing, like tiny house or boxable or something. Now that stuff is just showing up on my feed constantly. But there's a really cool community in Columbus that's doing a boxable like event center and a boxable like rental, like short-term rentals or something like that. So talk a little bit about that. And I thought we had something else, but I don't know, maybe that. Oh, if we have time, more of that Compass onto Zillow, all that stuff's still just blowing up. So, but we'll see if we can get to that. We'll kick it right off here. Shub, what you got?
Yeah, just wanted to kind of because I was out doing some stuff yesterday on a property, kind of wanted to talk about common issues that appraisers make note of on appraisal reports with FHA, USDA, and VA loans then. So I know a lot of times I always tell people, I'm like, they always look for health and safety things. So things that, could be potentially harmful to you or your family. And then also they want to protect the investment. So they, anything that isn't correct with the house, then they usually want corrected. So I'm going to kind of go over just some of the major ones. Then if you guys can think of anything else, you can kind of throw it in there then. So one of the big ones that usually gets flagged is chipping and peeling paint. Especially for homes built prior to 1978, this is a normal one that gets flagged. And this usually does also pertain to any structures on the property. So if you have a garage or a shed or any outbuilding, Bill, I know you're kind of
we're literally tearing a garage down right now because of that. So the house in Gibsonburg we have. So the guys were there yesterday, dropping the electric and literally eliminating a building because the peeling paint's so bad, the roof's bad enough to where, if they were using a different type of loan, maybe they'd be able to salvage it, but nope, garage is going to be gone.
And then I know in some instances, like you were talking, they can sometimes exclude that structure from the appraisal value and then not necessarily count it.
Which that's kind of a new thing that I heard. I can't remember what bank it was or what appraiser it was, but they were able to exclude an exterior structure, which would have been nice to know because like our area, we got barns and those big old buildings sometimes come up and you get a huge barn that has, it's a $30,000 paint job where the people don't really care if the building's even there or not. So it costs a bunch to either paint it, costs a bunch to remove it, or, you know what I mean? If you could just exclude it as not part of the value then.
And then not even with the chipping and peeling paint side, but if the roof's got holes in it or the shingles are bad, they can also flag those items then as well, just not even with garages, but sheds or anything then.
Which is unfortunate because that new homeowner, maybe they would have been able to enjoy that or fix it at some point. But it usually ends up excluding or getting it demoed.
Yep. Another one that we usually see is broken or missing handrails. I just had a property, the one I was over working on yesterday, the handrail was loose and they flagged that it needed to be more secure to the wall. So I know we usually say I think there's actually like a height requirement, but I usually tell people if it's over 3 steps, it's probably going to need a handrail.
I want to say, is it 2 risers, which would be 3 steps, I think, like going up 2 or 3 risers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Basically 3 steps, you're kind of stuck with a handrail.
Trip hazards, uneven sidewalks, broken steps, those sorts of things, which I guess I can kind of throw an example out for most of these here. So on another instance, I think it was last year, sold a property to a younger kid. He was a VA loan and it was a family friend, and the appraiser flagged the sidewalk out front. It didn't slope it sloped back or towards the property. It needed to be sloped away from the property, I'm assuming for obviously rain and stuff like that. Yep. So me and the kid's dad went out with a car jack and we dug out underneath of it and we jacked the sidewalk up and we shoved boards underneath of it to get it to pass. So
Like Brian.
What was that address again here?
Yeah. How do you get
So
yourself in these positions?
yeah, if you go to that property, just be careful on the step. It seems secure. I was actually just there this weekend. It seems secure.
I'm
but,
sure it's fine.
But yeah, so just again, something else they keep an eye open for. Like we just talked about, roof issues, leaks nearing end of the life where it's missing shingles. They could obviously also flag those things. A lot of times, if the appraiser goes inside and can see roof staining on the ceiling or something like that, they will usually require like a roof inspection or something like that just to make sure.
Which blows my mind, because if it's like the roof was replaced last month, well, I see a water spot, and it's like, yeah, that was been there for 2 years. They finally got the whole roof replaced.
Yep.
So then you need somebody to look at it yet.
Exposed wiring, another big one that we see. If there's junction boxes in the house somewhere that doesn't have a cover over it, or a lot of times the breaker panel, if they knock the punch outs out, and they don't put like I don't remember what that breaker's called, just like the false or
like
the
a
fake
blank
breaker
one,
or
yeah.
blank. They usually will flag that and want that you to put a blank in there, or put covers over junction boxes. And then same thing with like light switches and outlets. They need to have covers on them.
And not cracked, because they'll literally flag like a 30 or 40 cent plastic.
Yep.
Oh, the
light
cracked
switch-
plate?
The cover,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
If there's a
man.
crack in it, they'll flag that or bring that up, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's like, come on, it's
It's
40
like,
cents.
yeah, somebody just cranked the screwdriver too many times and it just a hairline crack, but they'll call it.
Well, the one appraiser told me basically just any house that is going to hit these guidelines, just imagine you have a 3-year-old with a screwdriver running around. Like, it needs to be able to be okay for them to
Right.
not electrocute themselves, fall down the stairs. I don't know if they're using handrails, but
Yep. Plumbing leaks, another one. If again, same house, the water was turned off, the electric, the water, all of those items need to be turned on, so that way the appraiser can test to make sure they're functioning as they should then. So something else just to keep in mind. Broken windows, if there's any broken type of glass or anything like that, it'll probably need to be fixed or replaced. Mold, mildew, or moisture problems, and I know we deal with this quite a bit just because we have a lot of older houses. If the basement gets moisture, there's moisture down there when the appraiser goes, he will probably more than likely flag a foundation inspection. You'll have to have a contractor go out and write a letter. I know around here we usually have a contractor write a letter just stating, hey, look, it's a 125-year-old home. That amount of moisture is typical for this age of home, and usually that satisfies what.
yeah, it's not a brand new house with poured concrete walls
Yeah,
or whatever.
and usually that
so.
satisfies. I guess I haven't ran into one yet where it hasn't, so that would just be something else then. And then just kind of looking through, I know VA loans specifically, they usually want septic and wells inspected prior to, and they also require the pest inspections, correct?
Which the buyer cannot pay for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody but the buyer.
Anybody
can
but
pay
the
for
buyer
it.
can pay for
And I don't
it,
know
so.
why it's just that one inspection.
Yeah,
It's just
right.
like,
Yeah.
what sense does that make? But whatever. I know we just kind of talked about structural integrity as far as the foundation and stuff. Another one, just because I was out, what I was doing was the ground slope. There wasn't, I don't know what it was exactly how he had it worded, but it was sloped towards the house. So I had to go buy 10 40-pound bags of topsoil and build the elevation up so that way it sloped away from the house.
Away from the house, yeah.
I guess whatever we need to do to.
You heard it here
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Brian will buy dirt and bring it to your house.
Listen,
I will
I've got
not.
some landscaping in my house, so I could.
I think Bobby could handle
Use
that.
some
I
help.
believe.
I don't
I
know.
saw him out there this weekend doing something. So.
Yeah. Figure that. Well, that's how he made the 30 under 30, right? Did you
That's
put that on the
right.
resume there that you will bring dirt
I
to
did.
any
I
house,
specifically
anytime?
left that out of the resume.
Okay.
So,
Which we did say that. We congratulated you, right? I don't know what episode we're into here,
Yeah.
but yeah. If you haven't heard, Brian's our 30 under 30 guy here. So National Association of Realtors prestigious award. Congratulations again, sir.
thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
And as far as, like I said, as far as the issues, I guess, is there anything else major that you guys can think of that is your GFCI outlets?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was going to
huge.
bring up. That's
Yeah, if you're, I would say, what do we usually tell people? If you can touch a water source and touch an outlet, it needs to be GFCI.
I don't know what the exact distance is, but I usually like arm span. Like if I can touch the water and touch the
Yeah,
outlet,
it's
you
usually
get it
6
changed
feet.
then.
6 feet.
6 feet.
So
We're pretty picky on asbestos, like some of that wrapped pipe in the
yeah,
basement.
if it's
Yeah.
maybe breaking
if
or
it's
starting
breaking,
to,
crumbling, and then the hot water heater that it's like an expectorant
Oh.
hose.
Oh, the drain
that
tube
called?
or
Yeah.
That emergency
that thing.
relief valve.
And for just as many houses that have it, there's many that don't, and it's just a really simple fix, but that could keep your loan from going through.
Yep. I was gonna say, depending on which appraiser you get to, some of them
might catch
think
it
they're
and
home
might
inspectors. So the one that I was just at as well, the sub pump wasn't plugged into a GFCI, so we had to change out the outlet to.
They had
make
you change that?
Yes.
That's so ridiculous.
Actually, it was pretty nuts. So the sub pump was plugged into an electric cord. The electric extension cord was plugged into the outlet. He wanted us to change not only this outlet, the original, but also he wanted us to remove the extension cord and have it run another whole electrical line and run another outlet to get rid of the extension
based on
cord.
what Mike Holman said, I think the extension cord thing I can understand.
Well,
Sure.
we got it passed because we told him it was good enough. So he was okay with
But the GFCI thing, I've
GFCI
heard
thing,
that both ways then too. So my understanding, a lot of when that pump cycles, a lot of times it's going to trip that breaker.
Trip it,
so
and
then you
then
have
it
a
defeats
sump
the
pump that
purpose.
does nothing.
Yeah.
So I understand it's close to water, but still,
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be.
Yep.
Stay away from
that's
that.
the exception.
So
And
let's real quick. So a lot of those things then too, I think it's important to do research, get a good agent, talk to them, kind of find out the things you want to do, because it gets expensive to have that appraiser keep coming out. They charge every time they come out to re-inspect a home or do whatever. So if you can preemptively do some of these things, just because a lot of the loans are going to be one of these types that are going to require these fixes.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, even things I'm sitting here thinking as far as like just because of just got done doing it, gutter extensions. If you don't have gutter extensions on, you're going to need gutter
water
extensions.
shouldn't pour immediately at your foundations. What you're
Yes,
telling
that
me?
probably
Okay.
also does not help with the water coming in
Probably
the basement
not.
if you have that. But and then also siding. If it's chipped or broken, they usually want those pieces replaced. We just had one. They had the electric meter there, and they had it literally sided around, and they moved the electric meter, the base, up a little bit, and so there was just like a perfect square where the electric meter was, and
Missing
they
siding.
made us
oh my gosh.
put a metal cover over top of it so that way moisture couldn't get back and damage the wood or whatever was behind it. So yeah, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun. Sounds like.
Hopefully,
But you're
knock
getting
on
there.
wood,
Yeah,
we're
knock on
almost
wood, you're
done.
getting there.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
Well, and then too, and on that one, you had sent pictures, but then the appraiser still wants to come out.
Yeah.
It's just it's so weird. I don't know what the actual rule is, because sometimes they're okay with pictures, sometimes they physically want to come look at it.
Yeah, I even
And
took videos because the water wasn't
Yeah.
running, so I literally went around to each appliance, like each sink, the bathtub, took videos of me flushing the toilet, sent it all to him, hoping he would be okay with it. And he's for some reason still wants to go look.
Which,
So-
We had that in New Washington on that house
Right.
where the seller's agent was sending videos of what the bank wanted to see proof of, and they're like, well, who sent these? And we're like, well, the listing agent sent them. No, we have to have it from a qualified blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Right.
but you can see
Sure.
in the video that it's working, so
yeah, but
what's
they're not
the
getting
problem?
their $125 or
or
whatever.
$150
it is.
to
Yeah.
come back out.
Yeah.
That well, so the
Or
argument,
$800.
So the
if
argument
it's-
to that though, then too, I've heard them say is they don't know where is at that house.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they'd want to send their person,
proof.
that they're being the appraiser, back to look at that house then, because that could have been a video. I mean, I know which property and it looked good, but
because
how does some
to me,
fair.
he's already been there once. He
I
has
know.
pictures of
Right.
what that bathroom looks like.
Yeah.
Are you telling me I went and redesigned an entire house with the same
May-
exact
well,
bathroom?
Well,
like,
again, just you got to look at broad spectrum then too. Yeah, for our unique homes, but if you go into some community where there's 500 homes that are exactly the same,
Exactly
the Yeah.
I could have a
same.
video of one of 50 identical bathrooms showing the faucet working, and
yeah.
but I'm just a CYA, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
it just seems dumb.
I actually had an appraiser request that I just sent photos because the house
Yeah.
was kind of difficult to get back to, and it would tear your car up a little bit. And eventually she was just like, because it was
Well, we need
replacing
we need her
plates.
name and phone number, please. Could you put that? No.
It was replacing the plates over outlet covers.
Oh yeah.
And it was that and like one other little thing. And I think she was a little ways away from the house too. So she was like, can you just send me photos?
Right.
Because it was something as
something like
simple
that.
as just putting
Yeah.
a plate over or something like that. But
Which, and again, too, we're all professionals. I don't know why that wouldn't be acceptable. But again, big picture, if things go crazy, if we're all in it together and scamming the banks or whatever, I could see where they'd want to make sure they have somebody. Or really, I think what it is, they want to have one person to be responsible. That's why,
That's why it's all chunked up into different parts and pieces.
Right. So I know some of the appraisers are very worried that, because they're going to come for them if the value's wrong, something isn't fixed. So they'll be the one that the banks want someone to officially blame if something's missed. So I could see why an appraiser would be gun shy. Well, part on that too, I wanted to circle into even conventional loans. They're hitting a lot of these things now then too. So I've had some pretty, I guess disconcerted or angry calls from clients and or agents too. Like, well, it's a conventional loan and they don't want, the siding missing was one and brickwork needed done on another one. And it's something electrical and all three different loans is a conventional loan, but they, again, were flagging a lot of these. I don't remember exactly what the language is.
I was going to say, I've had a couple of the foundation ones come up with the conventional before.
Sure.
But again, I think that's more of obviously a structural component of the home. So that would be something you'd for sure want to make sure there's not a problem with.
Well, I think they just hang their hat on the health and safety for just about everything then
course.
too. So I don't know how you get around that then too. But at the end of the day, I don't know if the banks really care about our health or our safety, if I'm just being honest. I mean, they just want to make sure what they're investing in is worth the money they're investing into. Yeah. So,
and it's going to be,
and if you stay alive,
kept up,
great.
I guess.
Yeah. They want to make sure it's maintained. Anything else on that, Shub?
No, I think that's it. So.
All right. So, and the people that are afraid to get, I mean, I'm sure we've all got that too. The seller that's like, well, I don't want one of them government loans or whatever. You can't avoid them. And I would say a lot of buyers utilize them and they most of the time go through just fine. They've just heard so many horror stories over the years of that one time the one guy had an FHA loan and all went to hell in a handbasket. So it's another type of loan. And at the end of the day, they're just looking to make sure the house is in good shape. And
I mean, again, if one of these loans has you netting $5,000 more than another loan, and you're like, I don't want to do any repairs. Well, what if those repairs are only $500 or, maybe they won't see any at all and you're going to be, not netting $4,500 more. So.
Well, and that's another thing too, not to throw anybody under the bus or get anybody in trouble, but how many times have we had homes where it's like, if this is FHA, we're done. There's no way this is going to pass. And then bam, no repairs.
Right.
It's like,
or they pick like the one thing you didn't even notice.
Yeah.
You're so worried about everything else.
Yeah. So, or the home that you think there's flying colors would be no issues and they just rip it apart and want everything done on it. So I wouldn't be scared of that just offhand, I guess. But
another thing that I was just sitting here thinking, I ran into it a couple of years ago. I don't remember what the distance is, but with, I think, was it FHA or USDA? It might be all three. It can't be within a certain distance of like underground storage tanks, like gas stations and stuff. I don't remember what the distance is, whether it's 100 feet or whatever it was, but.
Well, I've had the one we had right next to the gas station, we thought we were going to get then that house there in the corner. I had to literally go out there and measure how far away it was. But then the appraiser couldn't tell me, is it that far from the edge of the property or is it that far to the tank? So they didn't really know like what it was. So like what's the distance it needed to be? And then Six's Corners, we get that all the time then too. Several gas stations there. How many houses are right on top of those? So I don't know what, again, it's sometimes the appraisers flag them, sometimes they don't. But I've never got a definitive answer on what that is, but cool. All right. Carrie, what do we got for Mother's Day here?
Well, day after Mother's Day. Hopefully everybody had a good one. Hopefully the weather was good and everybody got to spend time with their loved ones or time away if you get to pamper package yourself for Mother's Day. But for me, I kind of want to take a minute and talk about myself and my story of real estate. So I've always been infatuated with real estate and I've always wanted to do it. But ultimately what made me decide to go into real estate was my family. And I think that's probably similar for a lot of people is the flexibility that you get with being a real estate agent. So me specifically, my son, he has open lunches at school. And so every day at lunchtime, I can be there preparing lunches for him. And yes, there's a cafeteria and yes, he can go to, restaurants, but every day without fail, I get that hour and 15 minutes between his classes during his lunchtime where we can kind of talk about the day and what is tonight going to bring and, what sports do we have and so on. So for me, that's been huge. And then our sports seasons, if I was working a corporate job before and I found myself at, all of these different events and things that I was expected to be at, and work many, many hours. And with this, I have that flexibility of being able to make it to all of their things.
Be able to be mom.
Be able to be mom.
Yeah.
I think about that one a lot. Like growing up with the three of us, between me and my siblings being somewhat close in age, I don't know how my parents ever made that work with work schedules, having 3 kids and only 2 of them. Like, I commend all parents with kids in sports because I genuinely don't know how they make it work with life and everything
it's easy.
else.
Real easy.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I
and
bet.
and I would say I'm not going to pat my back and say that I make it to every single thing under every circumstance, but just being able to, still afford to do that is pretty big. And we had one recently where we were eating at the snack bar, so those things add up, and then we went back because we needed Gatorades or whatever for the kids, and a couple other kids didn't have anything to drink, and then the cost to get in, and I'm thinking, man, this adds up pretty quick. And just like the ability to not only be there, but then also to be able to do that when we do get there.
Right.
'Cause there was a time in our life when we had, we couldn't make it to the soccer game because it was too far away. We couldn't afford the gas and the entrance and the dinner and all that stuff while we were gone. So being a mom is hard enough, but then you factor in stuff like if you're working a desk job that doesn't get you off in time, and then you're rushing to get there, and you might make it, you might not. I don't know. For me, this is I think right where I need to be. And then senior year, and then also I'm a pet mom. So if you have pets, at home, it's difficult to be gone all day if you don't have a pet sitter. So yeah, I guess I enjoy
love that.
being a real estate agent.
Yeah, right. I just saw as one of those silly, inspirational Instagrams or something like that. It's like everybody always wants to make it. I want to make it. I want to find this job.
This is making it.
Yeah, and it had this whole list, and what rung true to me is a lot of what you just said. Like, if you can be home most nights for dinner, make it to most of your kids' things, make it to the events and this and that. Like, what else are you looking for? Like, you made it. So, yeah, if you can still afford life and be there.
Yeah, and time, when you have time, you have no money. You have money, you have no time. And I feel like this is a good balance of both, because you can have millions of dollars, but then you don't have the time to spend it because you're so engulfed in whatever it is that you're doing. And I'm not saying you can't have everything, but there's probably a lot of people that have given up. And Bobby and I talked about it over the weekend. We saw this really sweet Corvette somewhere. I don't know where it was, park or something. And it was like, man, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what they
what they have to give
get,
up to get that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, that could have cost them a parent. It could have cost them a job. It could have cost them a spouse. You don't know what came out of that. So
I would still like to find out how to make life work with millions somehow.
Yeah.
But that would be, I'd try to figure it out.
Let's all put it in the universe. It's coming. Good juju. But yeah, I guess just taking this time. And I've had a lot of time to think over the last week, not feeling good, just laying on the couch thinking
right, you're
about
a trooper
my
just
life.
being here today.
Yeah,
so.
just thinking about my life. And I'm like,
just breathe towards Brian, please. Yeah.
But no, I do. I think just, being a mom and then also being able to, be there is big. So
I think to your senior year note too, I mean, you obviously just had 2 kids graduate last year. You got one that's going to graduate this coming year. And I feel like that's a huge transition, not only for them, but for you too, as a parent, and getting to be at every little thing. 'Cause all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, it's ending. Like, I need to be there for everything. Waking moment. Yeah. And luckily we, at least the school that your kids go to, they try to do a lot of different events and ceremonies and things like that. And your kids are involved in different things, and being able to go be supportive at those things and be able to enjoy it too, because you're not stressing so much. I mean, we're always stressing out about everything.
I was gonna say, I'm not like my phone. I'm not like this, but like even the ability to be there and be able to do this, or oh, he's not up right now because he's doing track or whatever. I'm like, I can go over here and work
phone
for
call, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that one day I think I was at the softball game, and I went to the car and wrote up an offer in the back seat of my vehicle using my Wi-Fi. So like that flexibility, yes, it sucks because sometimes you're working when you would be at a birthday party or whatever, but on the flip side, I'm working at a birthday party. Like, I made it, I made it to all the things. So
yeah, I just had track meet on Saturday. In between, you have hours in between things, took a few phone calls, and still didn't miss anything.
That's right.
Still froze my keister off the whole time, but got them phone calls made. So
that's all I had.
Well, cool. Well, happy Mother's Day, a day late. So that's awesome. What are we into? Oh, Boxable here. I wanted to find.
Oh, yeah. For your mother-in-law, because you love her so much.
Well, you know what?
Because I was thinking about that multi-generational home thing. Like,
you say
in-laws.
that because we need to get that figured out. I'm sure at some point, my mother-in-law, we talked about doing like what Brian's doing, build a building with an apartment in it. You're doing way more than that, but just do it like a small version of that, and it would be something cool. But these Boxables, pretty sure you're the one that introduced us to Boxables, and we're not advocating for Boxables. I don't know where that company is.
I mean, it's neat.
But
and any other boxable like company is still really cool.
Yeah, I don't even know who this guy is, but it came across my feed. It was an ad. It's down in Columbus. They're doing like an event. This is an event center close to the main road, and then back behind it, they have this whole development of where they're putting these boxables in. So they're just pouring the pads. They got a few of the boxables in. Supposedly they went to the boxable factory.
I smell a road trip.
Right. I know. I want to go look at this, honestly. And it must be close enough to Ohio State or the campus there because they're planning on renting it out for games and things like that. So doing like Airbnbs on all these little boxables. But it's kind of like what we talked before. It seems like a neat idea, like kind of cool. But the whole infrastructure cost, I can get a house for whatever, $20,000, $50,000, but then the land and the infrastructure and the road and the electric and everything else to put to it then could be quite a bit more than that. So, but they are really cool the way they show up and set up. And I got another video here I'll show you then too. But I thought this was kind of a unique idea because I know Carrie, you and I talked like even in our community, could we make something like this work?
Absolutely. It's the funding. I don't know the banks want to lend money on something like somebody would have to pay cash for it, or a landlord would own all of them and then rent them out.
Sure. Well, even this with just a handful of them, you're probably talking by the time it's all said and done, a couple $1 million, So, I mean, if they're doing, the infrastructure and they've got this event center out front and things like that, but or even $1 million. I mean, that's $1 million.
Yeah, but they could have almost like glamping or campground.
How cool it is, yeah.
Yeah, they could have one major area like with picnic tables and all of that, and like a storm shelter.
Yeah, I love it. And then there's this other one here, the upgraded boxables.
That kitchen's nicer than mine.
Yeah, no kidding. So then they've got these guys here, gals. They have the baby boxable. The baby boxable, and then the 2-story and multi-story. So it looks like they're doing a thing where they're going to end up being able to stack them, like almost like a high-rise, like multiples on top of them. So definitely going to put architects out of a job, I think. So
no way.
Rest in peace, Mr. Work.
So look at this 2-story boxable. Like, how cool is that? So they one shows up and then they come and slap the other one on top of it and expand it out or do whatever with it. So, I mean, they're going nuts with this. And I saw the one thing. It's not Mr. Beast. It was, my kids are going to kill me, one of the YouTubers. I'll think of his name, but yeah, they had bought one from Amazon. It wasn't a boxable, but it was a house from Amazon for $19,000. Same thing, showed up. It had slide outs and set up in like minutes. The only complaint was here they're doing a 2-story. Like, look at this thing.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine that? The electric outlets they had to put in electric outlets because they weren't quite set up, or put more in because they weren't quite set up. Here's the baby box. So you can just roll that up. It's kind of portable. It's even cooler.
Baby box.
So the baby boxable box. But yeah, I mean, it's probably only a couple hundred square feet, but it literally has everything you'd probably need for.
There's people that pay like almost $1,000 a month for that in other cities.
Or more in some places. Yeah.
Right. And it's nice. I don't know how well it holds up dragging it around.
She's a little tight, but.
Yeah. I mean, if that guy can fit in there.
I think we need to do a REUP live episode and go down there.
And go down there? That would be fun.
Test them all out.
Oh, my God. And
put Shuby in the shower, see how it feels.
Shuby in the shower.
On on location podcast then. So that could be a lot of fun, actually. I don't know. I always thought the tiny home thing was crazy, but the more I'm seeing of this stuff, it looks cooler and cooler.
All right, so I know a home coming up for sale here then.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we talked before with the kids, I'm sure once my kids are old enough, I know darn well my wife's going to want to chase them around. So maybe a baby boxable is in our future.
Maybe.
We can just drag this thing around and
drag it around.
I don't know if it's really that transportable or not, but super cool idea. And I don't know if it works in every community.
Oh, so technically this is an RV. So there's.
This one is?
Yeah, he said technically this is an RV. It has wheels back there. So yeah, I think you could drag it around.
That's cool.
I like the uniqueness of each of those. Like they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then we'll have to do some more homework. The one on Amazon, I can't remember what it was called, but I can't think of the influencer's name. I'll look it up then, but I'm sure you're right. It's just one of them kids that probably has more money than they know what to do with now.
But I don't even know what day it is. So.
But no, I thought that was pretty cool. So Boxable still doing their thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if it really is sustainable or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the community, I think, would be cool. I'd like to see what that kind of turns into, if it's really feasible or not.
We have enough. I'm telling you, here in Seneca County especially, we have enough people that are looking for exactly that. They don't need much. They need something clean, and they need something. I mean, I don't know how, like, with weather, sustaining high winds and things, if you have to, like, anchor it down like you would a mobile home, but they're no worse off in a single wide mobile home than they are in that. So
Right. So this 12 units. So this is Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma, nonetheless.
Now this one, I'm 99% sure. I half listened to it then and I'm pretty sure this is outside of Ohio State, Columbus area, but maybe not. Maybe I'm insane. I don't know who this guy is, but kudos to him for putting a video in that caught my attention. I guess I usually just scroll right past that, but I saw Boxable and I saw Community. I'm like, what is this all about? So kind of a neat idea. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that the future of real estate? We all going to live in 500 square foot? You selling your house before you build
alone,
it?
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
I think there's a lot of people that went to college that like that lifestyle of like community being all smashed together, like with your house downstairs, your gym and your grocery store downstairs, and then you've got your like community area or bar or whatever, and then like houses that aren't big, but like you don't really live in your house. You spend all your time out of your house, so you just live there just like at night or something.
Sure, right.
I feel like that's gotten really common.
Yeah, if you're on the go, I mean, yeah, if I wasn't married with kids, I'd be perfect. What the heck else would I need? All right, real quick, we'll just touch on here. Zillow versus Compass, that battle's still going on here. So this is I can't remember the dude's name here, Compass CEO, whatever. I'm drawing a blank on his name at the moment here. But so it sounds like they're getting people, Robert Refkin, that's who it is, and CEO, arguing again that the CCP, the clear cooperation policy, doesn't serve the consumer best. So again, they want to be able to market homes just on their own website, but then Zillow fired back like we talked last week about, well, if it ends up on an exclusive website, not available on the MLS, not available to all consumers and all agents, day one, if it's on a private listing site, that'll never end up on Zillow. So them kind of flexing their muscle saying, well, we think we're the 800-pound gorilla in the real estate world, so we're going to flex and say, if you can't do that, it'll never be on Zillow while it's listed with that agent. EXP jumped, I think, right on that bandwagon then as well. They're right behind that then. There was a couple of them that they're kind of lining, kind of drawing the battle lines here. Yeah, EXP and Next Home have joined in with Zillow, saying that they support that. On the other side, CoStar, who's the owner of Homes.com, criticizing Zillow's move again because they're competitors, saying, well, they should be on the other side of that then as well, thinking they're overplaying their hand. So yeah, there's more and more people kind of stacking up against that. But again, what does that mean? So if you're just a home buyer, home seller, what does it even mean to you? I mean, it's all just kind of inside baseball stuff. But I feel like it could truly adversely help or adversely affect your home. Whether it's, I feel like if it's open to the entire world to see. All the buyers' agents are there. All the consumers are there. Everybody's there. You have the most eyes on a property. Seems to me to make the most sense. Compass is arguing that they can get more money by being exclusive on their Compass exclusive websites. I mean, that's their data. Nobody else can kind of prove or disprove it, I guess. But I don't see how you get more money limiting the number of eyeballs on a property. I just don't.
Are they going to charge agents to put it on there?
Yeah.
Like Zillow. Because right now that information pools and goes to those places.
Yep.
Are they going to make it, not Zillow specifically, but are they going to make these like mega websites for house searches pay per, not click, but you know what I mean? Like,
right, like you have to get access
like
to
they're
them
hold
kind
it
of thing.
hostage, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if that's their goal is like, how do we drive more?
Maybe. I think they just want people going to their website. Like, I guess it would, not to harken back to the olden days here, but I'm old enough, I've been doing this long enough. When I first started, like the MLS was just kind of becoming a thing. Like that wasn't, I'm not that far removed from it being, you used to have to go to the other real estate office to pick up keys, to look at their book. I still had to pick up keys. So I'm old enough to where that, I remember having to go to Jim Wilson, God rest his soul, great dude, big broker in the area. I'd have to go to their office and you want to go show houses on a Saturday?
Yeah.
You'd go there. Okay, I need keys for 123 Main Street. I need keys for 456 Banana Street. Take those keys. Okay, well, just so you know, after you're done with your showing, you got to meet Carrie at Six's Corners to give her keys because she's going to go show the next person the house. So they didn't have lock boxes. They didn't have like any of that
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I have a headache just
Right.
listening to that.
I've got the keys in my
That's just
pocket and
like
I'm already
creeping
in
up.
Bettsville. Like,
So you didn't even know that was a thing, probably.
No, that just like made me angry.
You guys are so spoiled nowadays. Like you don't even understand how good you have it. Like with Dot Loop and MLS and just the lock boxes.
Showing
and things
time.
Like that. Showing time.
Yeah, showing time
Just even
especially.
showing time is
Yeah.
a game changer.
Yeah.
Like that is unbelievable how because it was a nightmare. You'd have somebody. Okay, we're looking at 10 houses this Saturday. Well, you don't even know where half of them are, so you're kind of
Right.
you're Google mapping. You pull out the old map,
which isn't
you know,
even, you didn't have like,
pull out
like,
the
what's
map.
that?
Yeah. Figure out where you're going, what's the best route, and then you'd have to call each individual agent, call each office. Oh crap, I gotta go pick up keys here. I gotta pick up. Well, no, I gotta meet Betty at the gas station after her showing then, or try to get there quick before they leave to get keys, or can you just leave the door unlocked? You don't even have a cell phone
Yeah.
at that time, so. I don't know how I got down this whole rabbit hole,
Well,
but
I know now that today I'm grateful for whoever came up with the lockbox.
yes, and I'm telling you, showing time too is
Showing
incredible. So, the 1,000 phone calls it was to where, hey, can I go look at this house? I don't know. Let me go check. Call the sellers. I don't know. I got to call the wife. Call them. At Sierra. Yeah, you can go show that. Oh crap! Never mind. It's a half hour later. It's a half hour later work. Back forth. There was so much of that, but so yeah, it's almost going back to on topic. Almost throwing stuff back to where you couldn't just go onto the MLS and see every listing. You would have to go to Compass's website, Remax's website, the independent brokerage. You'd have to go find them even where they were at and look all that stuff up. So we're not that far removed from having to do that. And again, one step further back was literally going to that office, looking through their book of their listings. You know what I mean? Because there was nothing accessible. You had to go look through that stuff. So I don't know if they want to go back to that or
I don't know. At one point, it's going to have to get a little more controlled because, like, your ad popping up in some other town because of a data scrape, like, there's going to have to be some sort of line of division where you can protect your, either your listing or your, personal information or something. Because, yes, it's great to have it out there, but in the same breath, there's got to be a fine line between getting it out in front of all the consumers and not getting it out to these massive data companies that are just doing whatever they want with it.
Right.
So I think cleaning up that line.
I'm more information the better. Just get it out there. I mean, you don't want people confused.
Right. And that's where I think that's what it's become is people are confused because you go on Zillow, you go on homes.com and it's, it's your listing and then some other agent in Marysville, pops up under your listing as like the local expert. It's like, what is going on? I don't even know who this person is.
Yeah, our market, same thing. That you look at the top agent in the area, and it's people we don't even know. Like, if we don't know them, how's the consumer going to know, or how's that person really best, fit for that? This area then. That market. So, I mean, there's a lot. I'm sure we're so hypersensitive on that because that's the industry we're in. But I wonder if that's the world around. If you look for. I know that for restaurants. You look for restaurants, Chick-fil-A will pop up as a paid ad, and there's no Chick-fil-A for 30 miles,
right.
Which we love Chick-fil-A, but if I want something, we're on the road, the kids are yelling, I want to go somewhere right now. I don't want to drive 30 minutes out of the way. So.
Well, no, I want to drive 30 minutes out of the way.
Yeah, right. So I guess just, in a nutshell, I think that's still just heating up to where right now to the consumer, if someone is listing a home, it should be on the market and publicly available to everybody, viewable everywhere within 24 hours. That's a clear cooperation. But they keep making these carve-outs to where there's certain exceptions. There's certain kind of ways to get around it, but there's kind of a battle going on. So I feel like for the consumer, it's probably best that that information is out there and available. The buyers can see it. They have the most options. The sellers have the most eyeballs on the property so that they know what's available. So, because how bad would that be? You finally find a home, like, okay, we'll settle on this one. And not knowing that the perfect home was available, it just wasn't with your brokerage's, listing, and they didn't even know it was available, and we couldn't even go show it, or didn't even know it existed either. Then,
because I'm worth the bad guy even more.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Sierra, why didn't you sell me that perfect house?
I didn't know that was an option.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that would drive me nuts.
So a lot to work out there, but I mean, real estate's ever changing. That's the only thing that stays consistent in real estate is everything always changes. So. All right. Well, we prattled enough here, you think?
Yeah.
Good enough.
Shout out to lockboxes today.
Yeah, lockboxes, showing time. Moms.
And moms.
Dot loop.
Yep.
I bet a mom came up with the lockbox thing.
I'm sure.
I bet.
Yeah.
If it made sense,
that's got
probably.
Mom written all over
that's
it.
very mom energy.
That's very mom, yep.
All right. I'll hold my comment to myself. No, you're probably right. No, sure. All right, that's episode 34. Check on back. Episode 35. Give us your questions. Let us know what you're interested in, and we will surely talk about it. We'll see you then.